What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Bucks University. I am Nathan Marzian, joined as always by Stev, aka Bucks Breakdown. You can follow him on Twitter at Bucks_breakdown, myself at Nathan Marzian, and the podcast at BucksU_pod. To say we have a lot to get to is an understatement. Giannis was traded since we last recorded. We were going to record a podcast. We had recorded a podcast, I should say, that Monday night a week ago, right before the night before the draft, and we went over kind of our overall big boards and what we would do, and talked about a Giannis scenario and a non-Giannis scenario, and then got off the recording. 20-30 minutes later, he was traded, and
was that what it was?
It was something like that, man. Yeah, because I think we ended around 10. It was probably closer to an hour, I guess, because we ended around 10, and then at like 10:45 or whatever was when he was traded. So, yeah, all of a sudden I just was like, I didn't want to have to edit half the podcast out, and I was like, let's just let everything unfold and kind of take some time to just gather our thoughts, decompress a little bit, and then we'll talk about it in a week. So I've had that time. I would not have been able to be, I don't think, very articulate, or like, I don't know, I would have been still in my feels a lot if we had done it the night of, the day after. I just still would have been very emotional about the whole thing. And I mean, we can talk, we're going to go into a lot here. We're going to go into the Giannis trade. We're going to go into the draft picks. We can go into the stuff that came out about the whole Giannis era from the Jim O article that was a couple days after the trade, and then all of the player options, team options, and stuff that have happened with the Bucks going into free agency. So there's just a lot to get to. This is a very busy time of the year, always between the draft and free agency, and then we throw trading the franchise player away into the mix. And yeah, just a lot to get to. An absolutely like a franchise changing week, and the direction has completely altered. It's a new era. It flat out is a very new era. This is just, we always knew it would come at some point, but it's here, the post Giannis era. And I'll give you the floor for a little bit. Your thoughts on the trade, how everything went down, how you think the Bucks ended up doing with the trade, and just like from the going into the post Giannis era, your thoughts. We don't have to, we can kind of, if we want to save a full like Giannis reflection episode, we can do that and take some time to just like appreciate him.
Yeah.
But I think in this one, we'll just kind of talk about going forward and like what we got for him and going forward and stuff. So kind of just give me your thoughts. You can have the floor.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, I'll start with the haul they got. So I think they did about as good as you could hope in a one-team deal, right? Like there was always talk of a third team being in there, whether that was going to be with Miami and sending Hero somewhere else, or if that was going to be with Brown and then sending Brown somewhere else. So like as far as one team type deal, it looked like this was the best available package. They thought it was the best available package. I do think they made out okay. Definitely not. I don't know. When you think about trading Giannis, maybe you were thinking a bit more. I guess I was. But at the end of the day, I think the haul is fine. I think they gave themselves somewhere to start as far as a rebuild goes. Like, you kind of got a decent range of guys coming back plus picks, just starting with the guys. I mean, the oldest being Tyler Hero, who's one-time All-Star at this point.
Yeah. Yep.
Then, ranging all the way to someone like Yakuchonis, who's still someone who got drafted last season, so going into his second season, if I'm not mistaken, with a lot of potential. So they got guys a good mix of guys, a good variety of guys on different levels, all under 30. I think Hero is the oldest at 26 or 27. Then Jaime's 25, I think, and then Ware, and then Yakuchonis again. So I don't know. I don't think the haul is that bad. I think, there's some guys you can debate the order of like which one of those guys is most important to least important. But I think at the end of the day, the haul of guys they got plus the picks is fine. Again, it's a good starting point. I think they have a long way to go as far as like refilling the cabinet of assets and specifically draft capital. And I was one of the people who was kind of much more willing to trade Hero. And it wasn't so much selling on Hero the player, because I think Hero's fine. He had a really good offensive season in 2025 when he made his All-Star game. Last year, we'll get into it later, probably another podcast. He didn't vibe too well with that offense. Still had a decent year statistically, but that really wasn't what, like, I didn't care about that. I wanted more draft capital going forward because the Bucks like capital is so depleted, and I wanted to push that asset down the road a little further rather than having to kind of make your decision on him fairly soon. And that was the whole thing with me, is I just didn't want to have to make that decision on keeping him and having to extend him, and everything that comes along with that. So I guess that was my only thing with it, and it sounds like they're moving towards probably just keeping him going into the year. I don't know. Let me know what do you think about that specific situation?
I'm also conflicted because I don't have anything against Hero necessarily. Like, I think he's a fine player. Like, he's not bad. He's pretty young. He is just, the situation is going to be, okay, he's probably not going to end up being worth extending and paying him a bunch of money, especially when you have all these guards in the room now. But at the same time, like, you don't want to trade him unless you can actually get a pretty good return for him, because he's a good enough player that you're not like, you don't want to sell low on him.
For sure.
And so you're kind of stuck in this middle ground where it's like, if you don't have any great offers, just hold on to him and we can play it out, see what it's like at the deadline. Maybe he has a pretty good season, puts up some numbers, and you can flip him at the deadline, get something for him. Or I guess there's always a chance you let it play out all the way through the season. And then, but again, then you risk him leaving for nothing. And because then, do you really want to pay him? Do you want to give him an extension for several years when you're going to have to pay Ryan Rollins? You've got Braden Burries now. You've got Yaku Chonis now. You've got these guys that it's like, do we really want to pay another guard on top of that, 30 something, $40 million? And when, like, you kind of know what he is at this point, I don't really see him being anything much more than he has been. And again, what he has been is fine. He made an all-star team. He's had some really good moments, really good stretches, but I think we kind of know, like, he's not a number 1 or 2 on a contending really good team. He's probably like a 3, I would say. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's,
I would say so. I think 3 is probably like best case scenario for him.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. But again, the reality is, if you end up extending him and paying him a bunch of money, you're kind of stuck with him as almost locked in as like a top 2 guy for the foreseeable future. So I don't know I'm definitely like you said, I was probably preferring that right away they could just reroute him and make this a 3-team deal immediately, and he goes somewhere else. We just get draft capital. We can fully commit to just the rebuild, having picks and moving forward that way. But it obviously didn't end up like that. And I guess it still ends up being a fine deal for the Bucks, where they have several guys, as you said, a kind of nice mix of guys, where you have Hero, the more proven guy. You have Yaku Chonis, who's a not as proven guard, but has some potential. Where at power forward center, who has some good potential. And then Jaquez, who's like that solid role player. So kind of a wide range, different positions and different, experience levels and like provenness in the league already. And then they did get the picks on top of it, which were the 2031 pick, 2033 pick, and 2030 swap. So, and then 2033 second. I know that was a kind of a deal breaker for a lot of people, but yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think I'm pretty much in line with you about Hero, where it's like, my preference is they can reroute him, but I'm not trying to get rid of him just to get rid of him, because I do think he's a good enough player that we could possibly build up his value and get more, get a good haul down the line if he ends up having a good season and then one of these teams gets desperate at the deadline.
Like you said too, like if there was we knew that the Pistons were interested, but we didn't get too much else on other teams that could be interested. I know there was a few, maybe like multiple teams are interested, but like if the offer wasn't there where you were getting multiple first round picks, at least 2, yeah, I could see it just being like better to hold on to him. So I mean, I definitely get it if that's, the way it went. If the offers weren't strong on him, yeah, you'd rather see if you can build up the trade value, maybe extend at a good number or whatever it may be, and flip him down the line. I think them drafting. I mean, we'll get into it. Them drafting Burries and now having Rollins, who's going to need to be paid, Yakuchonis, who we really like. It does get crowded in there, like especially if you have guys in that room, that guard room that you want to develop. Like
Yeah.
those are guys who are not finished products yet. And to have someone in there who feels like more of a finished product is tough. And I think that might be tough for those other guys to then continue to develop. And I mean, it happens all the time. That's something guys just probably have to deal with. But I mean, I don't think we're planning on being too competitive in the near future anyway. So I don't know. It's tough. And again, it looks like they're going to go the way of just keeping him for right now. So there's probably no sense in even like complaining about it. But I don't know. It's just like another thought to it and maybe another way to look at it, I guess.
And overall, I mean, just my overall thoughts on like the return and going forward. So we both agree, not the absolute greatest haul, but definitely not a terrible haul. I mean, you got a few really intriguing players. You got some picks back. It could have been worse. At the same time, it is frustrating. Not that they could have done better. It's frustrating that you trade Giannis, you go into this rebuild period, but you still don't have any of your own picks. Yeah. You don't have a cornerstone type of piece or cornerstone type of future draft pick where it's like that is like potentially the dude. Like that is a really, really valuable asset or pick. And you could, if you want to sit there and argue that like where could be that, I get some people might think that guy does exist in this deal, but I don't. I just see it as they have some good players, some good pieces that they got back.
Like I think Hero's numbers will get a bump, right? Like his numbers will go up, but I don't think that means like he's that 1A piece that we're talking about here that we're trying to, or we wanted in that type of deal.
Yeah, he's not a franchise cornerstone guy. Like he's just not. And that, I mean, he's not that type of player, and that's okay. He's a good player, but he's just not someone that you're like, we want to construct our franchise around this guy, or like we think he could become a guy that we construct our franchise around. So it's just like, yeah, when you don't have the cornerstone piece, plus you don't have your own picks, it just becomes you're kind of in this middle ground where we're not going to tank because we don't have our own picks. Doesn't make sense. And we're also like, so we're going to try to be at least good, but we're not really good enough that we're going to really contend because we don't have a number one cornerstone guy that's going to like carry us in the playoffs, or like really we just feel super confident is like, you're our guy. So it's kind of just a mix of some talent, but it's not good enough to be a contender, but it's not bad enough to completely suck, and they don't have any incentive to completely suck. So you're kind of in this middle ground. It's probably going to be like that for a few years now, where we are kind of stuck in the middle, and you're going to have to be hoping that you somehow can come across either getting that, star player somehow, or you just end up selling guys and getting a bunch of draft picks and just kind of, again, that's how you hope you get into that star player. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, at least this season, I think they're starting this season with just a bunch of kind of talent that we don't really know how everything's going to shake out. It's just talent on a roster, and like young talent on a roster, and you're just going to have to play it out and see what happens. And I would think they can win a decent amount of games, but probably not a playoff team, maybe a play-in type of team. And you just kind of try to develop some of these guys. But then again, that gets into the question of, okay, if the goal is just to develop and our priority is, okay, we want to develop Rollins, Yakuchonis, Burries, Ware, then you're like, well, then why is Hero here? Why is Miles Turner here? Why is Kyle Kuzma here? Like, then you kind of get into those questions of how do those guys fit into this? And maybe a guy like Turner does fit into it. Maybe he still fits the timeline and you still can keep him as your center next to Ware and everything can work out there. But there's just questions. And especially with a guy like Hero, where now he's at the position that you've got other guys there you want to develop long-term, that it's like, do we want to keep Tyler Hero here as a $30-something million a year guy who is kind of just going to be the starting guard, and you're going to have to keep Burries, Yakuchonis on the bench and not, kind of limit their opportunities? Is that what's best for the franchise moving forward? To me, no. But at the same time, again, you're not going to just trade Tyler Hero for nothing. So it's just a weird situation. I think they kind of were like, okay, we just got to get this haul and we'll figure out the rest later. That's kind of what they did. And again, I'm not mad at that. I'm not like super upset with this haul or anything, but they're just.
I just think the contract situation with Hero just makes it a bit more difficult. Like with Ware, it's not the same, but like, okay, he's on the books for like 2 more years, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you can figure it out as you go. Like Hero, you kind of have to make a decision fairly soon on what you want to do with him, because if you take him to the deadline, I think it decreases value a bit unless there's like a true bidding war at the deadline for a guy like that. But I mean, if you go to the deadline with him not extended, he's an expiring in a rental for somebody, unless that team then wants to extend him, and you got to find the right team to do that. So, I mean, again, we're talking about maximizing value here for each of these pieces that they got, and just like you said, what is best for this team in the long run. And I mean, like you said as well, if the right offer wasn't there, then yeah, don't move him. But the further you drag this out without a resolution, I think the tougher it becomes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we might see some stuff happen very quickly here. Who knows? I mean, they're getting crunched on roster spots, which we'll talk about when we talk about like all the guys that opted into their options for the year and stuff like that. So there might be a trade in the works. I mean, Kevin Porter opted in like that. Is there any type of sign that he's getting that maybe they're going to be trading Hero or trading one of these guards? I have no idea. So who knows? Who knows what is going on behind the scenes? But it could be as soon as this week, as soon as tomorrow. Who knows that they make some type of move? The trade actually still hasn't been finalized, so they could always add more teams to it. But it is looking most likely like they're going to keep Hero at least for the time being. It seems like they're going to keep Turner for the time being and everything. Like, again, it just seems like this is mostly the team they're going to have, and they'll kind of just play it by ear. And it's just like a figure out the rest later. We'll just start with this and just kind of adapt as we go. So, yeah. As far as anything else you want to talk about as far as the trade goes, like the return and everything.
I think like we'll get into more as we talk about the roster as a whole.
Yeah. So do you want to get into the Jimmo article, the stuff and all the drama stuff? I guess we don't have to get into it, but I'm just going to ask you, just for the people, I think we both should give our opinion on this. Like, how do you feel about Giannis right now? Are you angry at him? Are you disappointed? Are you like, what's your feeling?
I think there was someone tweeted the other day when that article had came out and just said like something along the lines of, you know, he was that guy here. Like no one would care if he was behind the scenes calling the shots, and he just kind of ducked away from the responsibility that might have came with that and then fully backed off. And not to say that makes me look at him differently, but it just sucks that that's the way that it ended up going. And that was kind of, not to say that was the entire reason, you know, the last few years were what they were. But I mean, I also think that the guys in powerful positions in the organization also operated very dumb and like in a scared manner when you can't operate like that. So I don't know. I think there's enough blame to go around. I don't know if my view on him changed too much. I felt like I had a good, or just could like put 2 and 2 together on how things were going behind the scenes. Not to say like I was spot on with anything, but like, you know, when I read the article, I was like, yeah, you could see that, you know what I mean? And like, that makes sense. So again, like not to say I saw it coming either, but I don't know, man. I guess I have a huge soft spot for him. So it would take a lot to fully change that. Did it go down maybe a bit? Sure. But I don't know, man. And maybe that's like a super cop-out answer.
No, I mean, I'm largely the same way. Obviously, I have a very big soft spot for him. And like you said, it would take a lot for me to ever get to a point where I'm like, I am really angry at Giannis. I'm really, really disappointed in him. Like, I think I told myself after they won the title, I told myself for years after that, I'm like, that dude could
do no
literally
wrong.
That dude could, like, not that he can do no wrong, but I don't care if he demands a trade today. I don't care if he says F Milwaukee on his way out. Like, I will not, like, that dude is a legend forever. Like, he can do whatever he wants, and I won't be mad at him. And I'm not mad at him. I'm not, like, my opinion hasn't changed too much. It's just like, it is disappointing. You're like, damn, like, I wish it didn't have to end like this. It sucks. I hate it. I still hate it. I'm going to hate it. It just is like, I'm really upset that it couldn't have been resolved better. He handled things poorly. The team also could have handled things better and could have, and there's so much blame to go around. Nobody is the only, like, there's not one source of blame here. It's not either, oh, it's Giannis's fault or it's the team's fault. It's like, they're both to blame. Obviously, Doc Rivers is to blame a lot too. And just so much to go around. So much went wrong. Injuries and stuff like that can play a part too, big part. So many things that went wrong, so much blame to go around. At the end of the day, I just think the winning culture here stopped. And once that stopped, Giannis got frustrated and kind of reached his breaking point after a few years of not winning anything, and just reached his breaking point and just didn't handle things the best at that point. And I can largely forgive him for that. It's like, man, I get it. That dude cares about winning so much. He just got to a point where it was like, he probably felt like, man, like, what's going on? Like, why, how have things changed this much here? And how are we not winning more games? And, having Doc Rivers as your coach, and just a frustrating time for him, I think. And he handled that poorly, and just kind of a classic breakup where it's like both sides probably didn't handle things the best. And you have people being a little dramatic, egos get involved, and it's just a little bit of a mess. But again, at the same time, I can understand where Giannis is coming from, in that I was frustrated too watching this team so much that I'm like, I can't be mad that he was frustrated, because it's not like things were all sunshine and rainbows, and you're not like, why was he frustrated? It's like, no, the team sucked. I mean, we can acknowledge that, yes, Giannis handled things poorly, but the team was also really bad. And I think everyone was there's a reason why everyone was worried about him possibly leaving. It's because we knew the team was bad. So I think, it just sucks that it got to this point. It's a terrible situation. And like, reading that article just breaks your heart, because it's like, man, how did things just unravel like this post 2022, basically? Or I guess starting with probably the Chris injury was like the first time things started to go south. And it sucks, but
no, it does. Yeah. I mean, I think, like, maybe my feelings on him didn't change, but that's not to say, like, I don't hate the way he handled things the past year or whatever. Like, I mean, it sucks to see the way he handled it. But again, like,
I can largely forgive him for it. And
for sure. I mean, I think that's completely reasonable to say too. Like, I can completely hate the way he went about the past 13, 16 months, whatever it might be. And just say, like, okay, at the end of the day, like, you have 12 other years of being like a real stand-up dude, and, just living by what you say and all that good stuff. So, I mean, I think the thing from the Jim O article, I think it was that, like, as a Bucks fan, I think that one, like, just hurt more from a perspective of, like, man, like, what they just spent the last decade building was torn down in, like, the matter of a few months. And that hurt to see, like, just to see the downfall of the organization as a whole. So I think that was like a tough read for sure.
Yeah. It's like, we had so much, and it was fun. It was a great ride, but it's just, pretty quickly became just a disaster. And I mean, it's like you said, it wasn't anything in that article that was like shocking where I was like, oh my goodness. You could kind of know that some of this stuff was happening behind the scenes. You knew there were frustrations. I mean, even though I thought Giannis would stay, I knew he was frustrated last season. He made that clear. He was not happy. He was not sitting there going, oh, I still absolutely want to stay in Milwaukee 100%. Like, he was definitely conflicted. He was definitely not happy with how things went last season. He voiced that so many times. You could see it on the court. You could see it. He's throwing the ball in the, against the hoop and stuff during timeouts. Like, he was pissed. But again, you could sit there and criticize him for how he handled it. And I do too. I think he handled it poorly, but at the same time, I cannot fully blame him for handling it poorly. And I can largely forgive him for handling a season poorly when he had so many other great seasons. Like, both things can be true. Like, we can acknowledge he handled it poorly. We can also acknowledge that he is, there's a reason why it got to a point where he was so frustrated, and it wasn't all his fault. It was the team sucked. Doc Rivers sucked. The culture sucked, a lot of things. And some of those things are Giannis's fault. Some of those things are the GM's fault. Some of those things are ownership's fault. A lot of it is Doc's fault. There's just a lot of blame to go around. And at the end of the day, like everyone had their part. And so I'm not going to sit here and act like it's just one person's fault, but regardless, like I'm still, and I think, I'm assuming you're in the same spot. But it's like, I'm still going to like cheer for the guy. I mean, if he's playing against the Bucks, no, I'm not going to cheer for him during the game, but like, yes, I'm going to be cheering for him when he's back in Milwaukee, giving him a standing ovation, hoping for the best for him. And like, I'm not going to sit here and root for his downfall just because he had one annoying season where he got frustrated and the team sucked. It's like, okay, I mean, I can look past that and acknowledge and just like look at all the good years we had and be happy about that. So,
well, real quick, so there's a lot of people who are maybe on the opposite side of us, right? Like that article changed their opinion on him a good amount, right? Or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you recall from the article, but like, is there anything from that article that you could point to and be like, this might have done it for those people?
I know people were frustrated.
Because I mean, I think there was quotes in there, like, or,
yeah, a lot of it comes from people thinking that he was behind every single move they made. And so they go, well, how can you complain about the moves they made when you were the one that demanded those moves? I just don't believe that he demanded they do anything and like make certain moves and you go do this or I'm gone and all this stuff. So that's why I can largely, because I'm like, I don't think he's sitting there telling them what to do and everything and demanding this and demanding that. Whereas some people do. And if he was demanding this and demanding that, then it becomes more frustrating that he like, I don't know. Like then I could see some of that where it's like, well, you can't get mad at these moves if you're the one that's telling them to do it. But I don't think that's the case. And then people were like mad that he kind of went and silently kind of requested a trade in December, it sounds like, or at least talked to ownership or talked to them about a possible trade. And then in the media was kind of acting a little conflicted. But I mean, there's also like conflicting reports there where ESPN had him saying, yeah, he demanded a trade or not demanded, but he requested a trade, went to ownership and said he wants a trade in December. But then they're talking about how he was conflicted in the spring. And I'm like, well, that doesn't add up. And I don't know. And most of the stuff he said in the media was, I want to be here as long as we're winning, but and he got to a point where like, obviously they weren't winning and he was getting frustrated and he's like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. And so like, I don't know. I don't think there were many times that he just like outright lied to everyone. And he didn't sit there and say, oh, I'm for sure going to be here. I'm going to be here my whole career. Like he didn't say that this past season. He started to say, hey, I mean, things need to change. And if things change, then maybe I could be here, but I'm not like, he couldn't make a decision based on what he was seeing on the court. So I don't know that there's just a lot of stuff that I think people got frustrated at, some of it rightfully so, some of it, in my opinion, wrongfully so. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't get mad at people for being frustrated with it. I think I was even frustrated with it to a point.
I'm not mad at people for getting frustrated. You should be frustrated at least a little bit. Like he didn't handle things great. I'm not sitting there saying he did. I know I defend him a ton and I'm going to defend him a ton, but it's just, there's a difference between like being frustrated and being like, I'm rooting against him now. I hate him. He sucks. And like, he completely just like, he's the worst. And it's like, dude, I mean, it's like, I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was like you said, and we both said, like, there's a ton of blame to go around. I think in the moment, people were really mad at Doc, rightfully so, really mad at Horst, rightfully so. Some of the moves were obviously questionable in the time. They're questionable in hindsight. I think if you're like frustrated with Giannis, that's completely fine too. I think maybe I am a bit as well. There's a ton of blame to go around. I don't know if it's if one person solely owns a ton of that blame outside of Doc Rivers. I won't ever be mad at anybody for how they feel about this. I think that, there's enough out there for people to come up with their own opinions at this point, whatever their opinion is.
And that's the reality. I don't think anyone listening to this is going to change their opinion based on what we say. Like people kind of are like, you either are super annoyed with him or I mean, I think everyone's at least somewhat annoyed, but it's like, you're either super annoyed to the point where you're not willing to listen to anyone that's going to defend him, or you're just like, I'm okay with it. I'm willing to forgive him. And that's just how you are. That's the camp I'm in. And I'm not like, whatever someone says to me, it's not going to change my opinion either. I'm not going to be like, oh, you're right. Actually, wow, I do hate him. Like, no, I feel my way about him. You feel your way about him. I mean,
yeah,
but I don't know. I genuinely try. Even though I'm super biased, I love the guy. I never want to criticize him. I do genuinely try to like see it from the anti Giannis side and like try to, be as impartial as I can and be rational about it, even though I'm still not completely impartial, not completely rational about it. I try, but I still, no matter how hard I try, I get to the conclusion of, sure, it's annoying, but I'm willing to forgive him. And I understand still his frustrations, and no, he didn't handle things the best, but like, I can't blame him. I cannot blame him for like not being perfect and for having a season where he just reached his breaking point, because it's like, was there a single Bucks fan who can say they never reached their breaking point last season? Like,
I mean, we said it before the season even started. So I think like we went into the season like there's no way they're rolling out Gary Trent Jr. at the 3 and think this is a good plan here. You know what I mean? Like we kind of said it from the beginning of the season. I mean, I think for me too, like for years now we've been talking about John Horst and the moves he's kind of made after the Dame trade, or even with the Dame trade, and then how bad Doc Rivers was. Like, it's so hard for me to put like the majority of the blame on Giannis when we've been absolutely cooking those guys for like the past 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, I can't flip my entire past 3 years of cooking those two and shift all the blame to Giannis. Did he have a hand in a lot of that stuff? Sure, maybe. I can't move the blame that much. Like, I read all that stuff. I understand that he had a role in it. I can't, even with that, I don't think that he deserves, I don't know, blame for a lot of the stuff that was going on. Some, yes, but I don't know.
To me, yeah. And to me, I compare it a lot to, I don't want to say compare, but it reminds me of the Aaron Rodgers saga, where it got a little ugly at the end. And it was like, for me personally, like, the guy's done enough for me and proven himself like for our franchise and like done enough for our franchise that I'm like, I'm willing to just be like, damn, that's annoying and like sucky ending, but whatever. I'll move on. I still love him. I'll always love him. He's a legend, whatever. Like, I'm just willing to do that. And some people just aren't. Some people get so caught up in like the right now. And I can't believe he changed. I can't believe he did this and he's betrayed us and all this stuff. And it's like, man, I don't know. I somewhat get it, but at the same time, like, you really can't forgive him for one bad season. Just be like after everything he did, you can't let him have just one really bad, ugly season that was like, man, the team sucked and I got frustrated and I didn't handle things great. Like, I don't know. I think in 10 years.
When like was the Rodgers stuff?
Like, that was 2023, 2022.
Oh, pretty recent then.
But like, I think in 10 years, I would bet, when Giannis looks back on it, he'll say something along those lines of like, yeah, I didn't handle that great, but it was just a frustrating time. I wanted to win. We know how much he wanted to win. He's made that abundantly clear. There's no secret to that. And he'll just be like, man, I didn't handle it great, but like, I wanted to win. It was frustrating. I think we all were frustrated those couple seasons, and Bucks fans will be like, yeah, that was frustrating and whatever. I get it. And he's an all-time great. And that's how he'll be remembered. Like, people just treat it, they overreact in the moment and treat it like, oh, we'll never come back from this. Is it the same as it would be if he stayed? Absolutely not. But it's like, his legacy is not like, oh, he's not going to get his jersey in the rafters, or he's not going to get a statue because he left. Like, no. I don't know. I could go on and on about it, but anything else?
We could.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Then the day after the trade, the draft, Bucks end up with the 10th and 13th picks after the trade, where they acquire the 13th pick from the Heat. With the 10th pick, Braden Burries. With the 13th pick, Nate Ament. One guy we love, one guy we do not particularly love. And I'll just say, like, I'll give my thoughts really quick. Obviously not a Nate Ament guy. We talked about him on our podcast and just don't really believe in him. Don't love the potential as much as other people. And he's got a long ways to go as far as development and everything. At the same time, I don't dislike it nearly as much as I would have had it just been their only pick and they picked at 10 and they went Nate Ament and that was it, it's like, okay, when you took Burries at 10, who we both love, we'll get to him, we'll talk more extensively about him, but when you took Burries at 10, that made the Ament pick a little bit more understandable to me, because it's like you got your guy that's more safe and you should get something from, and like a pick that everyone kind of universally agrees on. And then you got, and then after that, you're taking Nate Ament a few picks later, and that's kind of your swing. Like, it makes more sense. And I'm not nearly as mad as I would have been had that been their only pick. At the same time, if they had taken Dalen Swain, I would have been thrilled. And so I'm, still disappointed that it was Nate Ament, but I can like, I'm not going to sit here and complain too much about it. And I think we're all on board, and like, we hope Nate Ament is good. We hope that we're wrong about him. I can at least somewhat understand the move given that Giannis is gone. So yeah, I mean, the way, in the context of everything that happened, I grade it like a C-, not like an F.
Yeah, I think C- is a good grade for that. I don't know. Yeah, we kind of went over it. Like, he's such a theoretical player, and like the upside is kind of just you're imagining stuff almost. Like, yeah, he was like 17, 18 point per game scorer, but man, when you watch those games, it's like the funkiest 18 points you'll ever see in your life. Like, tough mid-range jumpers after like attempting 17 in a game. I don't know. I don't know how far we want to get into that. I do really, really like the Burries pick. I think he has such a high floor. I think for a team that we, suspect is going to be attempting to try and win games, that I think he's a really good pick, because I think he can come in and play, a variety of positions and do, a few different things on the court. Ament is going to be different, and where you're going to have to like tailor the lineups to him, and like you're going to have to put him in like situations that he can not even succeed but just not fail. You know what I mean? Like, you don't throw him out there at the 4 and hoping he's going to be some weak side rim protector or help you rebound a ton right now. Like, throw him out there in spots that he can like just stack together some wins for himself and like gain some confidence. I think it's going to be a long road for him to getting to a point where like we're comfortable with him in, a few different situations out there. So I don't know. Like you said, we're definitely not cheering against him. I definitely don't love the pick, but it's not like we're rooting for this guy to fail or, to continue sucking or anything like that.
Yeah. And so you mentioned Burries. I mean, the Rollins Burries, immediately, like, my mind goes to Rollins Burries backcourt. I'm like, man, I love this. Like, I think those two are going to be a super, super fun pairing just going forward. And I think prioritizing that as like, we're kind of, at least right now, building around this, and like, we're going to see what that gets us and how good we can make that. And then we'll try to figure out the rest later. You've got some pieces around that are okay. And like Ware and, possibly Turner and possibly Yakuchona and stuff like that. But I'm just really excited about the Rollins Burries thing. I think those guys are going to be awesome together. Both good defenders. Both can play on or off the ball. We talked about this when we went over Burries in our episode. But yeah, I think that both of them are very dynamic and like scalable and versatile. So super excited about that pairing. And I think Burries is someone who can immediately come in and contribute. And then yeah, Ament. I mean, I at least can talk myself into some of it, given the situation, given the context, and and he seems very well spoken. Seems like a good guy. Like,
he does. Yeah.
He's gonna be easy. Both of these guys are gonna be easy guys to root for. Like,
for sure.
These aren't like arrogant, like annoying guys that are coming on our team. These are good dudes. And I mean, I do think that there is at least a chance that Nate Ament like proves me wrong. I'm not sitting here going, oh, I'm so 100% confident that he's going to suck. Like, I'm not acting like that. He does still have, it sounds like his growth plates haven't fully, like, he's still got possibly some growth to do. He is, he can put on some weight defensively and offensively. I think if he can just like polish up the shot from 3 and then work on the defense, like, and at least get that 3-and-D floor, that's kind of the key to me. I just don't know if the ceiling's going to be there with the lack of like burst and athleticism. Like, not that he's like a terrible athlete or anything, but he's not very quick or bursty. But it's like if he can just get the shot down from three and figure out how to like be an impactful defender with his size, those two things will at least give him like a pretty good floor and like make him impactful. Maybe I'm wrong about the ceiling, and maybe he does end up just being like this higher ceiling guy. I just personally don't see it. But even if my hypothesis is true and he isn't this high ceiling guy, if he can develop that 3-and-D type of skill set, that's where like he could still be a perfectly fine pick, even if he doesn't have that high upside.
Yeah, I talked about it a bit in my like strengths and weaknesses, and kind of expanded on that, and just said like, yeah, I think offensively, getting him to a point where, he's like a 36, 37, 38, I mean, which is solid at that point. 3-point, like catch and shoot, 3-point shooter. Like, I think that's, if you can get him to that in the beginning, right? Like, work on the other stuff later. He feels, or it looks like he feels fine handling the ball. Please worry about that down the line. And on defense, honestly, I don't know if he can be like a impactful on-ball defender. Like, maybe I'm sure he can, right? But like right now, I don't know if that's the easiest thing for him to achieve. I thought the easiest thing for him to be able to achieve right now is to be able to rebound really well from that 3 position would be really impactful. Like, I think that's where I think the floor can be set for him and be a really good floor. Like, okay, we got a guy who we believe in as a catch and shoot guy at 6'10" and can rebound well above his position or his positional value, right? I think that's a solid player. Like, if that's what it is, if that's the baseline and you kind of build from there, or at least try to, I think that's solid. And then that becomes almost like a Burries pick. It's not like that, but like the floor becomes there, right? For someone of his size at that position, the positional value for that guy is pretty high. So that was like where my first thought went to when I was kind of going through the film again. Like, okay, how can you get this guy to be like feel comfortable playing him? And I think that was like the two things that were maybe not easiest for him to achieve, but like felt the most attainable.
Yeah, and a couple of things. I mean, he's gonna have, it seems, at least right now, how the roster is shaking out, he should have decent opportunity to develop and stuff, given that we don't have a ton of like small forwards on the roster. I mean,
do you think he's a small forward real quick? Is that what you're thinking?
Kind of like you said, I at least early in his career would not be throwing him in to be the 4. I just don't think that's a smart idea. I think that's kind of just throwing him into deep water. And I would probably prefer to like have him as the 3 while he's still not fully like physically developed or anything, and kind of just try to work on some of his skills at the 3. And then as he gets a little bit bigger, hopefully, then he can maybe try to play a little bit more 4. But that's probably the plan I would have with him. Either way, I mean, I think at both forward positions, like, we do need some depth. Like, he's going to have some room to play. I don't expect him to be very consistent or like super good right away. I mean, he wasn't that in college. I have a hard time seeing him being that in the NBA right away. He's probably going to be inefficient. He's probably going to be kind of Ousmane Dieng-ish from last year, where like there's going to be some flashes where people are like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. And then you'll kind of look up and it'll be like, okay, he's shooting 40% from the field and 32% from 3. And it's really not that good, but I think the flashes will be there. He'll have ample opportunity. And yeah, I don't know, just like thinking, longer term, like the arguments for him are, you could argue that in college, like his situation wasn't suited the best for him, and he had an injury towards the end of the season, but he did get better. Like right before that injury, he had a really good stretch of like a month-ish where he was playing. He's like 22 points a game. I think he was high 30s from 3, and was looking more like the prospect people expected him to look like. And I mean, again, that's another case for him, was he was this time last year considered like a top 5 prospect in the class. So the talent level seems to have always been there, where people have looked at him and thought, okay, this guy could be one of the top picks in a class and be like possibly the best player in a class. And that was a class filled with, some really good players. So the potential does seem to be there, and it's just going to be a matter of like, and then another positive for him is we now have Taylor Jenkins rather than Doc Rivers. There's probably going to be more opportunity to grow under Taylor Jenkins and a better ecosystem for him to possibly thrive in compared to what we had in recent years. So yeah, there are definitely some things going for him that, maybe we're overlooking and definitely could end up resulting in him being like better than we think, and maybe possibly quicker than we think. Who knows? I still think it'll be multiple years before he's like any type of polished, consistent player. I don't think it's going to happen right away. I don't expect him to come in and just immediately be like, oh my goodness, this guy's just really good right away, or he's even just like flat out good right away. I think there'll be growing pains. It will be very inconsistent. It'll be bumpy, but there's a chance that, yeah, he does end up developing into a pretty good player. Do you ever see like the 2-point stuff improving a ton? I mean, he's going to get bigger, which is going to help him down low with his physicality and stuff and handling physicality. It's not like he avoids contact. He actually kind of embraces contact, but he's not super good at actually handling it and finishing through it. He just doesn't have the touch. So, I mean, he gets to the line well. That's another good thing. And so I think he'll be able to do that at a decently fine rate at pretty quickly in the next level. But like, do you think he ever becomes a guy where it's like he is either an above average / really good mid-range player, or like an average to above average finisher?
Man, it's tough because like, yeah, he like was like he got bumped off his spots a lot, and it felt like a lot of those twos came from him getting pushed into them, but he also like liked shooting them. You know what I mean? Like it was weird because like that just looked like his thing. Like, oh, whatever way you push me, I'm gonna still shoot it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it just depends on what you think of the shot. Like, I think the shot is okay. I think he's big. He releases it high. I don't think many people are gonna be able to block his shot. So like, do you believe in him as a shooter, I guess, is the question, or do you think that touch improves? Like the touch, it doesn't look bad. He looks like he knows what he's doing, but like just the shots didn't fall. So I don't know. It's tough to say that the touch is there and the jumper is there when the numbers say completely otherwise.
His whole game is like such a weird combination of like both fluid and clunky. Like it's like he does move well, but like then he kind of gets into his shot and like, I don't know, he gets bumped off his spots and then he's kind of just like falling away, and like there's just so many weird moments. But it's like he does move well, he does kind of dribble the ball well for his size, and does kind of get to his spot, but then gets a little bit bumped off of it, and everything does seem very tough for him.
I think on our initial like scouting thing, a pod of him, I said he like, I don't know if it was for him actually, but maybe I said that he did look clunky handling the ball, but like he's not clunky. But then if he gets pushed around, he does look a little funny. 'Cause he is 6'10" handling the ball, so I mean that's always going to look a little different. But I don't know, it's tough because like, yeah, I mean he looks fluid at times. There's shots where you're like, oh man, that looks pretty good. That looks legit. And then there's other times where he doesn't even come up close on these shots that he's taking. He takes a lot of tough shots. So
I was just gonna say, like at least in college, and I know, I mean, like they're not drafting him just based on what he did in college. Like they're drafting him about what he's going to be. But it's just hard because you're like, man, everything is so difficult for this guy, and how is that going to change at the next level? How is that going to get better? Like, I don't think he's going to just magically add more bursts. Maybe, again, you could maybe make the argument some of it had to do with his injury, but even before the injury, like everything was difficult for him, and he doesn't seem like someone who's ever going to be like blowing past guys and really creating separation and like creating advantages. It's more, okay, I'm just going to take this tough shot over you because I'm taller than you and hope I make it. And he's relying more on just like shot making, but then he doesn't have the consistent touch to actually do that. So one of the things has to improve, either the advantage creation or the touch. One of them has to improve if he's going to be good.
I'm like however many games deep watching him, like watching the same games and whatnot. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen him like beat somebody off the dribble and like attempt a layup, let alone miss or make it. You know what I mean? Like, he is always getting bumped off his spot and like having to shoot these super tough like midi fades and like bump fades. And don't get me wrong, like there's games where he's playing really well, the shot's falling, he gets a few dunks here and there, but like like rarely ever are you going to see multiple layup attempts in a game from him.
Yeah.
It's such an odd game. And I think, again, we've talked about it a bit, but like Tennessee played with two bigs who don't do anything outside of set screens and try to dunk the ball. So like he was playing in a really tough spot. The paint was always clogged. Anytime anyone attempts to drive, like there's at least a guy and a half sitting down there. So like it was tough for him to get a clean drive in itself. But yeah, again, I don't know how much that changes because he doesn't have a ton of burst. He is pretty light still. So maybe it improves a bit with the spacing. Maybe these tough jumpers he's taken in the mid-range turn a little cleaner because the spacing will just be better. But yeah, and then you're just hoping, he does have the touch you think he might have. So I don't know. It's going to be a project for sure. And that's why we're saying like, simplify all that. Just turn this guy into a catch and shooter for right now and tell him like, hey, if you get a pump fake and blow by, feel free. But like, please cut the mid-range stuff like out of the game for right now.
I do. Yeah. And I do think it's a case where and this is not, I know it's going to make it sound like I'm just hating on the guy, but he is not very good at anything right now. Let's just say that he is not. So like, let's start checking some boxes. Let's find certain things you can like, let's make this guy good at this and like let's focus on the threes right now and make you a good 3-point shooter. And then if we can check that box, okay, now we can kind of move on to the next thing. Cause yeah, it just feels like if you try to just throw him in there and try to develop everything at once, like nothing's going to end up really, he's not going to be able to specialize in anything. And it'll just be like this guy that isn't really good at anything. And I don't know, that's just how he feels right now. And I think they should definitely try to like focus on specific areas of development at the beginning here when it's going to be inconsistent regardless. You're not expecting it to be perfect. You're not trying to compete for anything right now. You can handle all his flaws, but like, let's try to develop specific areas of his game and then build off of that, like get some type of floor, some type of groundwork to build off of going forward. So yeah. And then, I mean, I talked a little bit about him. We don't have to go too much into Burries because we've talked about him a lot in our previous podcast. We love him. We've tweeted about him a lot. So I'm really excited about him.
Have you watched him back any since I think you posted like a transition thing? Have you like views changed, but like, have you thought anything different in like we know exactly what context or basically exactly what context he'll kind of be in or going into now?
Not really compared to what I had. Like, it's just, he's pretty good at everything. The thing that comes to mind is, okay, my only fear is he's jack of all trades, master of none, where he doesn't have one specialized skill that makes him really anything special. It's like, okay, if you're just like pretty good at everything, but everything's a little bit inconsistent from time to time, then how good are you really going to be? Like, I don't know. That's the only concern I really have, but I find it almost impossible to believe he's not going to be at least a good player. And I think there's some, as we've talked about, there's some upside there in addition to that, where, yeah, the on-ball stuff is good and can defend, has some playmaking ability. The mid-range, like bucket getting is good, where he can get his own shot. And I think 3-level scoring, pretty balanced overall. Like the other thing I was going to mention with both of these picks, like Bucks seem to be prioritizing, they've talked about it, but now they're starting to do it, the positional size thing, where you're getting a bigger guard in Burries, you're getting bigger, like small forward wing in Nate Ament. I think they're definitely trying to prioritize that type of thing. Burries 215 pounds, like he's just like a bulkier guard than a lot of these other guys that were in this class. So seems to be something they're prioritizing.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and watched a lot of Burry stuff at this point. I posted a film thread on Twitter, but man, yeah, I like what I see. I mean, felt like he got better, or he did just get better as the season went on. I'm really interested to see how he kind of fits, not only alongside Rollins. Like we like to fit alongside Rollins, but like how does Jakubonis then fit in? How is he going to fit alongside Hero? Like, does Burries get any minutes at the one? Like, because I thought he got minutes at the one. They kind of took Jaden Bradley out, left Burries in there to run the one. It was, I don't know. I don't know, I have numbers for that stuff, but he looked comfortable doing it. And we kind of said that this entire time, like he does have some versatility in that way. he can handle the ball. So like, I wonder if they give him minutes at the one. Like, I'm really interested to see how it goes. I mean, we're a few days away from seeing these guys on the court in a Bucks uniform too. So I'm pretty excited to like see what type of, role they might have him in, at least to begin with.
Yeah, I just love that he's like a quick decision maker. He's efficient with his movements. He's efficient with everything he does on the court. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of like wasted time or wasted energy. And it just feels like everything he does is with a purpose and it's for a good purpose. Like he's making winning plays and he's smart. So I'm a big fan. And I think it'll be fun to see both of these guys play in summer league, both of them develop a little bit in year one and going forward. So other than the draft, the other roster stuff that
wait, real quick on these guys. Okay. So Andre Jackson Jr. randomly, 14.6 minutes per game in his second year. Would you take the over or under for each of those for Ament and Burries?
I'll go over for Burries, under for Ament. It's tough though, because Burries is in the more crowded situation.
That's what I was going to say. Like Ament almost has like the more clear path to minutes, but like he's a lot more raw. Yeah. So I don't know.
And we talked about it. I mean, it's after drafting Burries and after Kevin Porter Jr. We can talk about it right now. Kevin Porter Jr. opts in and you're sitting there going, okay, we now have Ryan Rollins, we have Tyler Hero, we have Braden Burries, we have Yaku Chonas, we have Kevin Porter Jr., we still got AJ Green at the 2, like a lot of guards here. And I mean, it just all of a sudden becomes a question of like, okay, who's going to be the priority minutes and what are we going to do with some of these guys long term? So Kevin Porter Jr. opts into his deal. It's a 1-year player option just for this season for $5.4 million. And then Hero's on a 1-year deal. You'd have to assume like Rollins, Burries, Yaku Chonas are not going anywhere anytime soon. I mean, those guys are going to be building blocks. Yaku Chonas is under contract for 3 years. Rollins is going to be signing an extension soon, I would assume. And Burries is on a rookie contract. He's going to be like, you'd have to assume they're the kind of priority long term.
Rollins is 23, right?
Yes. So then the question then becomes like, okay, if those 3 are their priority, and so that's like, I mean, Rollins is a ball handler, Burries is a ball handler, Yaku Chonas is a ball handler. Like all 3 of those guys are kind of combo guards that can do either one and share the ball handling duties. So it's like there's really not a need for guys like KPJ, Hero long term, in my opinion at least, to be taking away those minutes. So then you're just like, I don't know what exactly the plan is. Again, right now feels like we're just going to keep these guys and play it out and see what happens and just figure out everything later, which is fine. It's just at some point you're going to have to, and pretty quickly, you're going to have to figure out, are we going to try to trade KPJ, Hero? What are we doing here? But yeah, KPJ opts into his deal. Gary Harris opts into his deal. Taurean Prince opts in. Jericho Sims opts in. And then the 2 that Gary Trent opted out and the Bucks declined the option on Andre Jackson. So those 2 should be gone. The 2 that are kind of undecided right now, Ousmane Dieng, who the Bucks did not offer or submit a qualifying offer for, but it sounds like they're interested in still bringing him back as an unrestricted free agent. And then Pete Nance, who has a non-guaranteed deal, but it can be guaranteed by July 4th, I think. So those 2 are still TBD. I would assume they're going to bring back Ousmane, and then probably Nance is going to have his contract guaranteed. But you take those 2 plus the 4 that opted in, plus all the guys they got in the trade, that right there puts them at 16 players. So they'd be 1 over, and they still haven't, they haven't signed any free agents or anything. So I would assume Gary Harris gets waived. Do you think that's a safe assumption?
I do. Yeah. Like I think if anybody gets waived, I think it's him.
So I think he gets waived to free up a spot. That would get them down to 15, assuming Nance and Dieng are back. Then it would basically be down to, okay, you're at 15. If you want to sign any free agents, you have to make a trade to get rid of someone. I don't think they're going to waive anyone else. So I don't really know exactly what's going to happen with all these roster spots. I mean, I would think Bogolja Markovic is probably going to be on a 2-way. There's a couple of guys they got late in the draft that would probably be on a 2-way. I don't know. So it's becoming very tight after all these guys opted in. But yeah, I mean, the KPJ one was definitely the most, like, as far as basketball wise, it had the most impact because
Yeah.
He's got, he's one of the main ball handlers on the team when he's out there. He kind of has to be, and so that's going to affect when he plays. It's going to affect the whole team for better or worse. And so yeah, the question with him just becomes like, okay, I mean, I was confused as to why he accepted. The assumption is that there's not much else out there for him, and he probably just was like, okay, I'll just stay here. But I mean, I would still be trying to trade him because I just don't see the role. I don't see. I don't know. I would think that at worst, he's going to be just some bench guy that is like a spark plug. Like, I don't know. That's what I would think is that's his role if he is playing, and then they're letting Rollins, Burries, Yaku kind of grow. I just don't want to see Kevin Porter taking over possessions and stuff. And then you also have Hero in the mix. It's very crowded.
Yeah, no, it's crowded. I think the thing with KPJ is his number was above a min, so I think he's at 5 million. So I assume that's why. Like, I'm sure he had min contract interest out there, but like the 5 million he's going to be at is like probably 2.5 million more than a min would be for him. So, and to be clear, he can be traded right now. Like, this was just an opt-in. This isn't a newly signed deal, so he could still be traded. And I think he probably jumps to most likely to be traded, especially if, like, if we get into the season with these guys, like not trading Turner, they keep Hero. If they go into the season, I think he's probably most likely to be traded.
Yeah, I mean, just I mentioned that. Go ahead.
The number's low. It's 1 year, and I think you could sell a team on him just being like your spark plug bench guy for a low cost. Like, if they get a second or 2 seconds for him, I'm sure they do that deal in a heartbeat. So, I mean,
it's literally just like it's a Walmart version of what they have to do with Hero, where it's like Hero is way more money. It's a 1 year deal rental type of thing where but you'd have to give up, picks and stuff for him. But it's like with Porter, it's just like, okay, you can still get some of that spark plug type of offensive creation, but you're only 5.5 million. It's a 1 year thing. You don't have to give up a ton to get him. So it's kind of the Hero thing, but on a much, much smaller scale. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think one of these guys by the deadline will be traded, because with how many guards are here. And again, I already mentioned, like, there's no way they're not going to prioritize Rollins, Yaku Chonis, Burries. And so after that, it's like, I don't think there's room for both Hero and Kevin Porter to have roles on this team. You're going to, I mean, again, I just think that one of those guys will be traded. And if they're keeping Hero around, like, then I just think Kevin Porter kind of becomes, the most likely, the easiest to kind of trade. Yeah,
definitely the easiest to be traded. And I think Isaiah Joe just got dealt in a similar situation. The Thunder were trying to salary dump him. But I think he's also someone that a spark plug type guy. I think the Pistons got him for like 2 seconds, 3 seconds maybe. So that could be where KPJ the value might be, like, in a trade, especially during the season when, the cap space is a little different. I think Joe was making around 11 million, if I'm not mistaken, or something around there. So KPJ would be less money to kind of take in. So I don't know. But yeah, like you said, they got to free up some space as far as minutes, because like Yaku Chonis, they're going to have to throw him at the 3 to find him minutes. You know what I mean? Like, he is bigger, but like, get him some on-ball reps, man. Like, please and then prioritize the on-ball reps for him.
Yeah, then the thing is, people are like, oh, well, you can play Yaku Chonis or Kevin Porter at the 3, but I'm like, their whole thing has been positional size. I don't think they want to play those guys at the 3. Like, they're not going to sit there and preach positional size and then be like, oh, let's play one of these guards at the 3. So, I mean, do you agree with me though that, like, I said worst case scenario, I guess you could say, like, the best case scenario for Kevin Porter Jr. is he's like a spark plug bench guy. I just don't see him having like a much bigger role than that. I don't see why he would. I don't see how he would.
Man, it's so tough. Like, I don't like. It's almost impossible to divvy up like minutes at the 1 and 2 for like 6 guys.
Yeah, because like no matter what you think of Kevin Porter Jr., I think we can agree Ryan Rollins and Tyler Hero at this moment would be the 1 and the 2. Like,
I was going to ask you, like, what's your starting 5 right now?
Those are your starters, 1 and 2. The rest we can figure out later. But we're just talking about the guards right now. 1 and 2, Rollins and Hero. And then after that, again, this is regardless of what you think about Kevin Porter Jr. I think, like, isn't the smart thing for the franchise to be, if let's say Rollins and Hero are your 1 and 2, you really want to play like Kevin Porter Jr. and then lose like Burries or Yaku Chonis minutes? Like, do you really want it? Like, that's what we want to do? I just don't think that that's what anyone's best interest is.
I mean, it's like literally going to break my heart when Burries is in a warm up the entire first 50
And I would hope that breaks every Bucks fan's heart. Like, I think most people would be like, yeah, even if I like Kevin Porter Jr., I'd rather have Braden Burries playing and getting minutes and like getting run than him. And I just think that the best case, and I shouldn't say what we predict will happen, but I think the best case scenario should be he's just like this spark plug guy that he can play some minutes, but he's in no way should be some close to 30-minute per game, having the ball a ton guy. Because if he is, then that means Rollins isn't getting the ball a lot, or Yaku Chonis isn't playing much, or Braden Burries isn't playing much, or all three of those things. And like, who knows what at that point what's happening with Hero if Kevin Porter's playing 30 minutes a game. Like, there just becomes all this mess. I'm just like, I don't think anyone wants that. I think everyone would prefer that they prioritize Rollins, Burries, Yaku Chonis, and then Hero and Porter are kind of like the odd men out a little bit. And again, I would think one of them would be the trade piece. I don't know. It's just I don't like see why he would be any type of big piece on this team with how it's constructed.
Yeah, I mean, even if you were to work that equation backwards and just go like, okay, we want to make sure that Burries and Yaku Chonis are playing in some capacity, right? Like, even if we're getting them 15 to 20 minutes a game, we want those guys to play. Okay, now who might be starting then? Well, Hero's going to start because he's making 30-something million. Who's starting at the 1? Is it going to be the guy that had a really good season last year and is 23 years old? Or is it going to be the guy that, let's say you think he had a really good season and is 27? You know what I mean? Like, I think reasonable people would pick Ryan Rollins.
Yeah. There's no world to me that Kevin Porter Jr. playing a lot is a good thing for the Bucks, because it just more him equals less of the guys that I think basically everyone in this fan base, everyone in the franchise should want to prioritize. More Kevin Porter would equal less of those guys. And so it's like, even if you do kind of like Kevin Porter, you think he's good, I just don't see how not getting a bunch of Braden Burries or Yaku Chonis or Rollins would be like exciting for you in a rebuild. I just don't see how like that's a good thing for this team long term. Is like, no, let's play Kevin Porter 25 minutes and then either Yaku Chonis or Burries gets glued to the bench. So yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, I would assume Porter or Hero are gone by the deadline. Like, I would have to assume one of those guys is gone.
Do you think one of them is gone before the season starts, or do you like think they go into the season, both these guys?
Man, because I guess you could say before the season, just because a big reason why they might want to get off one of them is for the roster spot. So they might be like, let's do this now rather than wait, because if we wait, it costs us a roster spot. So
we didn't even talk about AJ Green, who's like slid down the totem pole as far as like, whatever.
I guess, maybe there's an argument to be made. You could try to trade AJ Green if you can get more for him. And I mean,
he's just not even factored into the equation right now. Like, he's probably going to be getting DMPs.
Yeah, without Giannis and stuff, I understand like he's probably not as valuable to our team as he was before, but it's like I still would rather keep if you're not getting a ton for either guy, I would easily rather keep AJ Green than keep Kevin Porter. Yeah, it's a mess, but it's somewhat a good mess. I mean, there are several guys we like. Like, it's not like it's just a bunch of guys we don't like, but it is just very crowded.
There's a world where they they move off KPJ before the season starts. They net a few second rounders, and then they trade Hero at the deadline, and they get some first rounders. Like,
and then you build around Rollins, Burries, Yaku Chonis going forward, and you have picks, and that to me is like the best case scenario. If you could end up getting 2 firsts and 2 seconds for Hero and Porter, and you're like, cool, like we can then prioritize the guys we want to prioritize, and we got picks, like we're all good. So ideally that's what ends up happening. I just think, again, right now they're kind of in this like, well, if we're not getting a ton for either of these guys, like we might as well hold them and just see what happens. And it's kind of this weird in between period. So,
and again, like that makes sense as long as you go about the minute distribution the right way.
And hopefully a competent coach helps. You think it'll help?
Jenkins, please save me.
We're scarred. It's been too long. It's been too long since we had competent coaching around here. Okay. Anything else before we get out of here?
I don't think so. We got through a lot.
Yeah, we had an hour-ish to get through a lot of stuff that happened. So thank you all for tuning in. We are going to have a lot more to get to as free agency ramps up and more stuff comes out, probably in the next week, who knows Summer League's going to be starting, and get to talk about some of these guys. And yeah, the roster might start to look a little bit different. Who knows? But thank you all for tuning in. Follow myself at Nathan Marzian, Stev at Bucks_breakdown, the podcast at BucksU_pod. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, Bucks and 6.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.